Do you want the Ilios well to suck you? Well, today's your lucky day. I went through all of the quick play and competitive maps and I made a single change to each of them. Actually, that's not exactly true. I actually made multiple changes for some maps, but we don't talk about that. Actually, we will be. But this video has been in development heck for 2 weeks now, and that's because the game mode keeps crashing. And I eventually figured out that it was because it keeps constantly checking stuff, meaning that about 200 lines of code was checking every time something ran, since the only requirements for stuff to happen was that it was a map. So about maybe a third of the code would just constantly be running over and over again. So I unfortunately had to separate the codes by game mode. And if it still crashes even after doing this, you can turn off certain maps by turning it off in the workshop editor. Also, thank you to everyone in my Discord and Twitch for helping me test it, because I would have not known that it was crashing this badly if it wasn't for them. So if you ever want to join us testing these game modes, follow me on Twitch. I'm going to start off with the control points, that's what I did first. For Antarctic Peninsula, you will occasionally start freezing. In particular, if there is no ceiling above you, you will start getting cold. However, if there is a ceiling above you, you will start warming up again. I also made it so the hole in that one spawn room acts like an actual hole and you fall through it. It's pretty funny. On Busan, I actually did something different on every single point. In the mecha base, if you go over to the launcher, it will now launch you off the map. In particular, you'll actually simulate where the little lines are going. So if you manage to boop someone off, they will just go flying and will not come back. There's also a little jump pad here. On the map with the little lion statues, I forgot what each point was called, the lions will now spit fire out at either the other team or you, depending on which side of the map it's on. The fire will home in on people. It's not the strongest homing, but I just find it really funny having fire just chasing someone down, so that's why I did it. And also because some of my Discord members suggested stuff, and that was one of them. Another reason to join my Discord or Twitch. And then for the city area, I added a jump pad so you could get up to where normally only people with vertical mobility can get to. So now your little roadhog or big roadhog can get up there. Oh, also the health pack by the train will launch you into the train. That's just a funny thing I did. Shout out to Gun for that one. On Ilios, well, if you just hover over the hole at all, you get sucked into it. Now it is an orb, so it's not like directly up and down, so you can still go over it if you jump high enough, but you probably don't want to try that because if you do get caught in it, you're just dead. On top of that, there is this little red circle in Ilios Lighthouse. If you touch it, you will be launched up and launched out of the lighthouse. It is really fun roadhog cooking someone into that circle and then having them just launch out. Dude, these map changes were really fun. Actually playing it, I think they're honestly more fun than the actual hero changes in many cases. It could have also been because I knew the changes and the other team didn't, but we're not going to mention that. And then for Ilios Ruin, I didn't have a good one for it, so I just put a jump pad here, just so you can get on the high ground. But this map in particular did inspire what I call the global change, where if you emote on any map, your outline will disappear. I was going to just do it for Ruin, but the bushes are kind of hard to sit in depending on what character you are, so I just made it on every single map. For Lijiang Tower on Lijiang Market, meleeing this funny little orb with your ultimate available will nuke the objective. This can be blocked with barriers, but for the most part, people aren't going to really expect it, so you can basically sacrifice your ultimate for nuking the point. This also hits teammates. On Lijiang Garden, you can interact with these orbs to drop the bridge. However, it kills you because I think it'd be too strong if it didn't. And then on Lijiang Control Center, just because I didn't have a good idea for it, I put hallway cameras in like that choke point area by the large health pack, and you can see it by going to the top of the map, and I think pressing interact on these light blue circles. Again, the last one in this control point threesome, wait, hang on. Let's just say the control points, when I do a separate change for each section, I do kind of fall off on the third change, but that's just because I burnt out of ideas and I wanted to move on to the next map. So this camera system, I was told was really fun actually, but I kind of got rolled when I played it, so I don't know how fun it is. Maybe it's just an amazing change, but I wanted to add more security cameras, and if we ever do this again, I'll make sure to do like a Five Nights at Freddy's security camera system. I'm gonna regret saying that. For Nepal, everyone can wall climb. This is because someone suggested for everyone to climb on Japanese maps, but unfortunately that Hanamura rework map was no longer available when I was coding this, so I decided to do it on Nepal since Genji is buddies with Zenyatta. But just to make Ramacha and Zenyatta more special, if you emote, you will just start floating. I did manage to flank by doing this and killing another Zenyatta, and it was really fun to play. Oasis. Oasis was the original map that crashed all the time. So I coded every single coconut tree. I am not joking, this took me like an hour or two. So where if you punched it, it would drop a coconut, and that could either heal or damage you. The problem is, you know how I said that every single time you do an action, it activates like every single line of code? This made it like 2 times worse. mostly because I'm lazy and I really don't like using arrays for whatever reason. So it just constantly crashed over and over again. Therefore, I just made it so whenever you punch any wall, it drops a coconut. This includes other players, and I had people trying to drop coconuts on me by punching me, and it worked actually sometimes. But yeah, Oasis and coconuts. It's kind of like how there's a PNG of a coconut in TF2, and if you delete it, it crashes the game. I don't know. It's actually the opposite in this case. If you spawn a coconut, it crashes the game. Onto Samoa. Over time, you will get thirsty. And the only way to replenish your thirst is to jump into the ocean and drink the amazing salt water. If you are above half health, you will respawn. If you are under half health, you will die. So you can't just do this in the middle of combat. The only place that this doesn't make sense for is the magma point, but we'll just say it's like cool orange Fanta or something. Now it is time for the escort maps. Circuit Royal adds gambling. If you press interact, you will get a random number between like 1 and 13, I forgot how many, and it will do something funny. I am not going to elaborate, but I'll probably put a funny clip of something happening on screen. You can go test that out yourself. But it might do something like make you bigger, make you smaller. But if you love gambling, this map is for you. Now onto Dorado. Whenever you do damage or you take damage, you will increase your noise meter. If your noise meter goes above 1,000, I think, you will start to die. Someone in my Discord made a good point that when you're fighting on Dorado, there are people literally living inside those houses, so you'd expect some of them to, you know, come outside. So the change was to try and simulate that. I was gonna do dummy bots, but we know that I hate dummy bots, so I didn't. And honestly, this change got really annoying, but it was really fun to try and work around it while fighting the other team. I think we can all agree that on Havana, snipers are too powerful, since you have too much direction and magnitude. Therefore, I added a few ways to sneak up on them. Over by the trash can by attacker spawn, you can teleport to this forklift over by defender spawn to potentially flank the other team, and it can go the other direction. On top of that, on third point, where a Widowmaker can snipe you from Narnia, there is a cannon, and you can load yourself into a cannon just like Sea of Thieves, and you will bounce up to where that Widowmaker will typically be standing. I'm not gonna lie, the cannon one is a little bit strong and a little bit attacker-sided. It suddenly makes it from a sniper-heavy map to a Reaper coming over and just shooting you map, but it was really fun. But you know what else is fun? Holes in bricks. On Junkertown, because of Junkrat and Roadhog, there are random holes around the map. And I will not lie, they are very strongly in the defender's side, but we're gonna ignore that. And then because Junker Queen says something like throw a brick at people, bricks will now be thrown randomly by third point. So basically, there's just more hazards in Junkertown, which honestly there should be, knowing the crazy citizens of Australia. So we made Junkertown more hazardous. On Rialto, I made Sea of Thieves, where if you go on a boat, you will get ultimate charge while emoting. However, what ended up happening is people would just boop you off that boat and then take over your boat. And since I've gotten a lot of requests to play Sea of Thieves for some reason, this change is literally just Sea of Thieves but in Overwatch. So feel free to emote on these boats, but do be careful to not have your ship get taken over. You do have to be kind of in the passenger seat or the middle of the boat, because sometimes the detection is too small to tell that you're actually emoting on it. On Route 66, the whole map is a sandstorm. Now, I was told that this visually messes with people's eyes, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it also removes outlines and makes it harder to see people. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as good as I wanted it to, but it still looks pretty cool that you can even do this in Overwatch, especially knowing the limited ability of the Overwatch Workshop. On Shambali Monastery, I basically made everyone Zenyatta. The gravity is a little bit lower. You can double jump. I mean, Zenyatta can't double jump, but theoretically he floats, so like maybe he can. And you can volley people with balls. This is a little bit powerful because I made it an explosion rather than a single target projectile, but I won't lie, it was really fun, so I left it as it is. And even though it's simple, this change was actually one of my favorite ones. On Watchpoint Gibraltar, you can go over here by third point and become a rocket ship. You can stall the point forever using this. This change was the worst idea out of every single change I've done. I'm sure I could change it so it's only your camera in the rocket ship rather than the actual player, so you can no longer contest the objective. But unfortunately, this was one of the last ones I did, and like I said, this video took a very long time. So if you decide to play this game mode, I would just turn off Watchpoint Gibraltar entirely, because the idea of this was that you turn into a rocket ship and then you suddenly can land on someone, but honestly that didn't happen in testing and it crashed the game mode. So honestly, I would just turn this one off, and this one is one that I would want to redo. Now onto the Flashpoints. On New Junk City, when you capture the first objective, you will suddenly be forced into a Torbjorn 1v1. One person from each team becomes Torbjorn, hammer only, and the winner of the Torbjorn duel will turn back to their hero kill everyone on the enemy team, and basically get their ultimate. Now, this was supposed to activate during every single objective capture, but for whatever reason, it didn't work, and this is one of the buggiest changes. It's kind of sad that I actually talked about Watchpoint Gibraltar being bad, and now this one's just buggy. But it is very fun. I do like this change. I forgot to mention this in the intro, but these map changes were much harder than the hero changes. Typically, hero changes only take about 100 lines of code, while this map change took like 200 or something like that. So it was twice the amount of work, and I couldn't perfectly do every single one, especially because a lot of them were new, like this Torb 1v1. For Suravasa, I actually have no notes on my Google document of everything, but I know what they are. The thing is that we didn't get to test them because it would crash. Did I mention that it crashed a lot? This video was hard to make. I'm very sorry. My Pixelmon addiction is also getting to me. But each point has a different effect that hopefully changes up the game mode. One of them will give you low gravity, making it so that you can jump on the point even if you don't have vertical mobility. One will gradually increase you in size, and it can get so bad that you just get stuck entirely and cannot get yourself free. The third one puts you in a melee-only arena, meaning that you must punch your way through. Another one makes it so you receive a ton of knockback, making it easier to knock people off. And the last one will slowly levitate you until you actually can get stuck again. It'd be kind of cool if there was a gimmick for every single point, so that's what I did. However, it is now time to go on to the hybrid maps. First up is Blizzard World. For Blizzard World, you will gain coins for murdering people or assisting in the murder. Over near attacker spawn, you can buy a huge speed boost. Over by the first objective, you can get a slight healing over time. This is a passive effect for like 30 seconds. And then over by where second point is captured, you can multiply your ammo by like 10 or something, I can't remember. Basically, you can overfill your clip. This doesn't work on every single hero, like Orisa doesn't have an ammo thing, or Reinhardt doesn't even have ammo. On top of that, for whatever reason, when you're a Tracer, it gradually ticks down. I don't know why that happens. But for someone like Junkrat, you can have like 200 mines, and I'm pretty sure it stacks. And then, for 50 coins, you can go over to this last vending place and buy a nuclear bomb. This will drop immediately downwards and kill anyone in a radius of you. When we were playtesting this, for whatever goddamn reason, I forgot to change the number from 10 to 50. So basically, people bought a nuke, went over, nuked the enemy team, and then because they nuked the enemy team because they got a kill, they got more coins back, and they would get more coins back than they would to buy a nuke. So let's hope I bug fix that, but if I don't, yeah. As for Eichenwald, if you go to the back of third point, there is a throne, and if you press interact on it, you will have a 1 in 5 chance of becoming a king. If you fail to become king, you die. If you become king, you'll become stronger, you'll receive less healing, and you will immediately gain your ultimate. On top of that, if you kill the king, you will then take the kingdom from him. Now, for whatever reason, I remember this glitching out and then crashing, I'm pretty sure. So there is a chance that there are multiple kings. That wasn't supposed to happen, but at this point, my bugs are a feature. As for Hollywood, I was told to change it to Bollywood and have people dance every few minutes. So I think after 40 seconds of not emoting, you have to emote or you catch on fire and die. It was actually really fun having to call out when people had to emote. So even though I'm not sure if this was one of my favorites or not, this was one of my favorite negative maps, if you know what I mean by that. Dorado was like a bad example of how to do a negative effect, and this one was a fun version of how to do a negative effect. I don't know, maybe I just like Hollywood, but it was fun. As for King's Row, I did this literally an hour ago because, as you guys know, I hate dummy bots. So I was told to put a Widowmaker on King's Row that would aimbot on Zenyatta's. However, instead of it just being Zenyatta, it will aimbot onto other people, so it can be any hero. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to contest the objective when there's Widowmakers sniping at you, like in the Alive cinematic. As for Midtown, I was told to add cars on all pathways. However, instead I added this white little SUV. It's not an SUV, it's a circle. Why did I even call it an SUV? This white circle will just go through the middle of Midtown of second point, and if you touch it, you will fly into the air and take damage because you just got hit by a moving vehicle. This one was really fun until suddenly it stopped working, which I have no idea to this day why it stopped working when we were testing it. It did it for like 10 different loops. I tested it for so long because it's so fun getting hit by a car, and then it just stopped working randomly. I was like, where did the car go? I don't even question why the workshop just breaks randomly. It just does. If my car wants to go fly away, it can go do that. But in all seriousness, this one's actually really fun when it works. As for Numbani, I made a whole entire video on this, so go check that out. But basically, I added the 6 Infinity Stones, and I'm not going to go too into detail with it, but basically the 6 stones will spawn around the map. If you get all 6 of them on one team, the other team dies and you instantly win. Only one person can hold a stone at a time, and the only way to take it or drop it is to be killed or kill a player with a stone, and you must not have a stone yourself. I explained it really poorly and really quickly, so like I said, just go watch that video because it explains it so much better. I will quickly just say that the space stone will make it so you can do a Symmetra-like teleporter wherever you want by pressing interact and control interact. The mind stone will let you see through walls and disable the outlines from the enemy perspective. The reality stone is like a mini echo duplication. If you hit them exactly, you have to hit them exactly. I've gotten some complaints that it doesn't work. It does, I promise. The Power Stone, when you're in the air, will launch you into the air, or if you're on the ground, it will launch a little orb. The Time Stone is like a Tracer recall and slightly slows down the game for everyone. And the Soul Stone will kill you. And then it will spawn a little murder star on your body, and if anyone walks into it, they die, and then you resurrect with 1 HP. I've been told that the Soul Stone change was not even close to what the Soul Stone was supposed to be, but like, I want you to look at this image, or these images that I found online, and tell me what the Soul Stone does. I have no idea still. For Paraíso, there is going to be random Portuguese text around the place. When you walk into that Portuguese text, it will either kill you, give you more ammo, make it so you have burning shots, make you much bigger and overpowered. This one was actually broken. I should nerf it, but we all know I'm not going to. And then the last one will tell you that you have attachment problems. And then it doesn't attach you to anyone. This one's actually broken, so I just find it really funny that in Portuguese text, it tells you that you have attachment problems, and then it does absolutely nothing when you try and touch it. It's like texting a friend, and then they don't reply back, and then so you text them again, and then they tell you you have attachment problems, and they do nothing about it. It's just like the orb, it does nothing. Now onto the push maps. On Colosseo, a random volcano will summon every 30 seconds roughly, and that is because Colosseo is in Rome, Italy, and the famous Mount Vesuvius happens to also be a part of Italy, I'm pretty sure at least. So volcanoes will randomly choose a target, summon on them, and simulate that one song by Bastille. As for Esperanza, whenever you die, anyone in a 5-meter radius around you will get struck by lightning. Originally, I was gonna do a flood-like thing, but since the only way to really do it is to use the sparkle effects and I wanted to use the orb effects, I decided to go with the lightning. The theoretical use of this is that you kill someone, and then let's say that lightning kills you, and then that kills the person next to you, and then the next person after that. I don't think that really happened because we were doing 4v4 at that time, but it's actually really fun getting struck by lightning all the time. And finally, for New Queen Street, it's so weird saying New Queen Street instead of Zenyatta, when you press interact, you will have a 10% chance to have a heart attack. However, if you do not have a heart attack, you will gain a speed boost between I think 120 and 200, so use this wisely. And I hope you guys enjoyed my mental breakdown of a video. I am sorry for rambling so much in this one. I had a lot of fun being frustrated. This was actually really cool because it was something new. Oh my god, it took so long. I really hope you guys enjoyed because this one, like I said, was mentally draining. And like, I guess you guys can suggest like random workshop changes in the comments. I've probably already done them, or maybe they're not possible. I'll probably read them. Make sure that if it's a hero specific change to put why it's there, or at least their name. Because sometimes I'll just control F on a random video, put in Junkrat, and then just look at all the Junkrat changes, even if I don't reply to them. So follow my Twitch if you want to be a part of any testing. And it is now time to go feed my Pixelmon addiction. I'll see you guys later.